Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Lynne Scott Haggerman Show. I am so honored and pleased today to have my guest, Roberta Ruggiero. She has a critical message for everyone listening within the sounds of our voice that could mean literally the difference between life and death of yourself or your loved ones. So, Roberta, I am so honored to have you here today.
Well, thank you so much for the invite. It happened so fast and it was just meant to be. So I'm thrilled.
Exactly. Yes, God has a way of arranging these things to make sure
Absolutely.
he gets his message out. Praise God. Where I would like to start is I would like to jump right in. Would you please share with people how you discovered what our topic is today and what you have been doing to try to help people learn this? So, how did it even come to be that you became aware of this?
Well, we're talking about hypoglycemia. That's what the subject is about,
Yes.
specifically reactive functional hypoglycemia. The words today are interchangeable, reactive hypoglycemia. Um, And it's been a journey for me of 45 years. And when I hear or read 45 years, I cannot believe it. So that's when it really started, 45 plus years ago. But the Hypoglycemia Support Foundation, which I did find or founded in 1980, is still, you know, still more important today than ever.
Yes.
And we just basically showed, hopefully, as many people as possible, and hopefully globally. We just had a summit called the Blood Sugar Roller Coaster Summit. And I interviewed with my CEO and my partner, Mike Collins of Blood Sugar Summit. This was the first 42 experts on blood sugar irregularities, particularly reactive hypoglycemia. So this is a condition that basically, I can say it because I received thousands upon thousands of letters over all these years with the question, why doesn't my doctor believe it still exists? Why can't I find a doctor to diagnose me? Or my doctor did diagnose me and he just gave me one sheet of paper, so I still have no idea what it is. What do I have to do? So basically, I was hoping, and I have, want to thank you for giving me the opportunity,
Sure.
to know that hypoglycemia, reactive hypoglycemia, blood sugar dysregulations is rampant, especially today. And I want to tell you how and why I got started. And I used to say, well, how could I do this? I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a specialist. But then I realized after speaking with hundreds of thousands of people over 45 years and the letters that I've received, I've got boxes and boxes still piled up. I don't want to get rid of them. And when I personally went through that, it's real. It's definitely real. And now I have the doctors and the science to back it. So, how did I get started? It started basically 1960. It was a very big year for me. I did not expect it, believe me. I I was studying to be a nun, and then I wasn't able to date. So, but my cousin asked me to go to her house for a party or a birthday, whatever, and in walked a 6'2"
Oh, Roberta, I didn't
handsome
know we were going to
guy,
have a love story. It's
and
perfect.
and
I
and
love it.
and a and a uh, Navy, not a Navy, Air Force uniform.
Ooh.
And I don't know, long story short, he swept me off my feet.
Uh,
And
Praise God.
entering the convent, it was a very difficult decision. But we did decide, we got engaged, we got married. I tried to work. And at that time, I was living in New York. And when they decided to give me $35 a week salary, and by the time traveling and expenses, I came home with nothing. And I says to my husband, I think we should start a family. And he was the one that just said, anything you want. Well, I
Oh,
became pregnant right away. And I just could not wait. Even though I knew I was young, he was older than I was, and I just felt it was the right thing. And God bless me, I became pregnant, but I also became addictive. I was eating and eating and eating, and I didn't realize what I was eating at the time. Being of Italian heritage, it was mostly pasta and bread and hot fudge sundaes and hot apple pie, and that's
I
what I
didn't know
ate. And
hot
every
fudge
time,
Sundays were part of the Italian tradition there, Roberta.
right, right. So every time I would go to the doctor, I'd say, I'm gaining a lot of weight. I didn't even mention diet. And he says, don't worry about it. And I would go back to him and say, but I have this ferocious appetite. Don't worry about it. Well, I gained like about 50 pounds.
Wow.
And when I did give birth, it was just a horrendous ordeal that lasted 3 days. And I swore I'd never become pregnant again. And then, but I was excited that she was coming home. It was a little girl. But something happened right away. Instead of being excited and happy, I started to cry. And like, what am I crying about? This is what I wanted. This is what I waited for. And then from crying, it came headaches. I had pounding, pounding headaches. And I couldn't understand. And I called up the doctor. Oh, don't worry about it. But then from headaches, it was like depression. And I had crying spells and I had shakes. And here it was, a couple of month old baby, and I didn't know how to take care of her. I couldn't take care of her. So I went to the doctor. I said, something's happening. And he says, don't worry about it. It's after baby blues. Well, within a couple of months, I became pregnant again.
Oh, Roberta.
Yes, yes. And so my children are about 15 months apart. But after my son was born, all the symptoms that I had just intensified, and I could not really take care of them. And I would go to the doctor and he would take all sorts of blood tests and everything. He says, there's nothing wrong with you physically. He says, let's start you on Valium. And that was my first introduction. And then that scenario lasted 5 to 6 years. I would constantly go to the doctor. I can't take care of the children. I can't handle these headaches. I can't handle these shakes. I can't handle the highs, the lows, all of it. And then my family would start asking, what's wrong? What's wrong? My mother pulled me aside. Is he beating you? Are you okay? Are you happy? And I started to withdraw and I was getting worse. I would constantly go back to the doctor. By this time, after a 5 or 6 year period, I was on Thorazine, Mellaril, Tafranil, every every pill that you could think of that would help me get rid of the severe depression, fatigue. So I had pills to wake me up in the morning, pills to go to sleep at night,
Oh,
pills for my pain, pills for everything, my depression. And then finally, after about the 6th year, I says to my doctor, something is wrong. So he says, I think you need to go for therapy because there's nothing physically wrong with you. So you're talking about the 1960s, says early, to go to a psychiatrist.
taboo.
I
Yep.
snuck. I just snuck into some place. It was dark, it was dreary, sat there, but I looked at my children because by this time I just wanted to give up. So I went and he listened to me and he said, there's nothing physically wrong. He says, but it has to be emotional. So we'll give you another pill with all the others. After 6 months, that didn't work because he said, I just probably got married too soon, had children too soon. Well, what am I going to do? Help me cope. So I went to a second psychiatrist and he said the exact same thing. I'm sorry, I can only give you another pill. You got married too soon, had children too soon, you weren't prepared. But I told him I'm in love. My husband is, like
So I have to
my
interject here,
person.
Roberta. I'm appalled so far at the lack of healthcare in the unhealthcare system that physicians just keep that the solution is pop a pill, pop a pill, pop a pill, and then you try to get mental health help and it's more pills. I mean, my heart goes out to you.
You hit on something that I get very emotional about. What
Yeah.
I'm talking to you about is from the 60s to the 70s. And I'll tell you what happened in 78
Oh,
after I went to the two psychiatrists and what the third one wanted me to do.
okay.
What I am telling you now, and this is what I want to tell the people, that what happened to me 45 plus years ago, almost 5 decades ago, is happening today more
Yes.
than ever. And that's why I have this deep fire in my belly to get it out, to, write more about it, do the summits, do the interviews, do whatever it takes, surround myself with the best researchers and scientists and partners, and my CEO, Wolfram Alderson, who is just, you know, doing everything that he possibly can while doing other dozen jobs. So this is why it's so important. So after the two psychiatrists, I was suicidal. I said I wanted to give up. So I went to my third psychiatrist, and all I heard was that he had a treatment. And I says, I'll take it. I'll sign it. He could have said what it was, but I didn't even know what it was. I just needed help. I
Mm.
needed help.
Yeah.
So we lived in Queens, and we went to a hospital in Rego Park or whatever it was on. I know it was on, well, it was on Queens Boulevard. I could see the building. I could see my husband taking me out of the car, taking me up the stairs, taking me to the front desk, signing the papers and saying, great, I'll see you soon. I don't know when, but I'm going to get better. And then all of a sudden, I'm going up an elevator and I start seeing bars. And I'm going, I don't think this is right. Where am I going? And then I get in a place, and all they do is get in that room, take all your clothes off. Well, what? Take all your clothes off, put this gown on. Give me your medal. I had a miraculous medal. Don't take this. Yes, we got to take it. Give me your wedding ring. Don't take it. Yes, we got to take it. And that was it. I was put in a gown, nothing else. And then I said, where am I? And then I realized where I was. I was in a mental hospital. And
Oh,
when
Roberta.
I got out, the scene that I saw was from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I heard the screams, I heard the cries, I saw the actions of the patients. They were all, most, not all, but most of them just rocking in a wheelchair, just looking out into space. They were not really. I didn't talk about this for 10 years. Nobody knew about it. I
Um,
couldn't. I
Understandable.
was humiliated. Well, let's go back. I begged them. My husband and I did not realize what we signed for. I have to get out, please, please. And they said no. Since I signed, I had to stay. So I was there for a couple of weeks, and you have a certain amount, it's I think 11 to 12 treatments that you have to take. And that's what I did. And when I got home,
Was that the
I
electric shock?
electric shock therapy.
Oh, Roberta. Oh,
Electric
my
shock
heart.
therapy. I can remember everything like it was yesterday when they strapped me, when they, whatever, but I don't even want to go
Yeah.
into that.
Yep.
So I got home, and my husband didn't know. He figured, he could go to work for a couple of hours. I guess he realized he couldn't, because when he got back, I left the kids and I was walking the streets. So we realized my mother and my mother-in-law had to help me and take care of me for a couple of months. And then I got worse again, and I went back as an outpatient. And after going as an outpatient, I finally said, never again. I want to die. And then my husband had a chance to move to South Florida, and he did. Well, he didn't right away. He says, what should we do? We went to our doctor, and he was great. And I think he tried truly to help us. But in another sense, he was happy to, he was frustrated. He couldn't help me. He says, I think Tony should take the job. He had an offer to have a great job in South Florida, and we had family there. So we took
Yeah, I
it.
think
So we,
to interject, I don't think the doctors are trained to handle any of this in the medical schooling that they have. And so even though many of their hearts are
right.
wanting to help, they just don't have the training.
Yeah, and this one did. This one really, I mean, I found a lot that didn't, but this one his name was Dr. Vaselli, and he truly tried.
Yeah.
So anyway, we moved to South Florida, and I took all my medicines and my medical papers. And I was good for a couple of weeks, or a month. And I thought, oh my God, it's the sunshine, it's the sunshine. Then a dear friend of mine invited me, well, now let's, come and join us at a church that we attend. And I was excited. So I was at the church and I thought everything's going fine. And then something out of all my symptoms that I had, again, I'm going to go over them: severe depression, severe insomnia, headaches, uh, loss of concentration, the shakes, the cold hands, cold feet, inside, just a whole list. I could go on. And but this time I was in church, perfectly okay, and within a minute or a split second, I passed out. And I never did that before. So I thought it was just a one-time deal, but it wasn't. I kept on passing out. So I had no choice but to seek another doctor, which I did not want to. But my friend begged me to see her doctor. Now, I did not know what an osteopathic physician was. So this is what his name was. He was in Hollywood. His name was Dr. Arthur Eckhoff. And I went there with all of my pills and my, records, and he looked over every single thing. And he says, Roberta, he says, there's one test that you have never had. I says, I've had them all. A spinal tap, an electroencephalogram, everything, hospitalized several times. He says, no, you've never had a glucose tolerance test.
Oh, wow.
So I says, what does this involve? He says, please just take it. Trust me. Well, when you hear trust me, you don't. But I did. I took the glucose tolerance test and I went back. And I said, please, did you find a diagnosis? He says, before I tell you the diagnosis, I want to ask you a question. I says, what is it? He says, what do you eat? And I looked at my husband and I thought to myself, this guy is crazy. He's asking me, what do I eat? I mean, here I have all these symptoms and you're asking me, what do I eat? And then I stopped and I said, well, I have two children, young, 15 months apart, whatever. I says, I don't eat breakfast. I rarely have lunch. But at 3 o'clock, my parents come over with the lasagna and the bread and the apple pie. And then at that time, you're going to laugh. We used to get a babysitter for 50 cents an hour. And my husband, to cheer me up, would go bring me to get a hot fudge sundae.
Oh,
Oh, no wonder why I couldn't get up in the morning, but I didn't learn that until years and years later.
yeah.
So he says, this, I promise you, if you change your diet, your symptoms will go away.
Wow.
And I said to my husband, he's crazy. Or I said to myself, he's got to be crazy. You can't tell me what I just went through, that a diet or change of what I'm eating is going to help.
Oh, Roberta.
And lo and behold, we didn't have a computer. So I went to the library. I tried to read. I had to be very slow because that's one thing that it affects is the brain and think and concentration. But I was determined every time I looked at my children, I said, that has to happen. So it took 3 years to find the perfect diet, what I had to eat, what I had to eliminate, to find vitamins, because everyone said vitamins were important. I took them, they didn't work. I took something else, then exercise. Well, born and raised in Brooklyn, you don't really exercise. Stoop was the big thing, with skates, you know. So it was a challenge, but I was determined and I started to feel better. I was getting better and better, and I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. Then a neighbor said to me, I want you to work for me. I says, what are you talking work? I can't work. She says, yes, you can, a couple hours a day or a week or whatever. And she was opening up a skincare salon. So I went to a beauty school and I started learning things about. I started with doing nails, then I started doing facials, I got my license as an esthetician, electrologist, image media consultant, doing makeup, a makeup artist. And I thought my life was just going to be, that's it. And I kept my secret because I didn't want anybody to know. And then lo and behold, there was an article in the Miami Herald one day. Anyone having harmful effects of electric shock therapy, get in touch with this committee. Well, I told them my story and said, we want to go to Tallahassee to restrict the abuse of electric shock therapy. We
Yeah.
want to have it that people have an informed consent. They know what they're getting into. And I said, sure, I'll do it. What does it mean? Going to Tallahassee, being an advocate, I says, I didn't even know. I just said yes. But the only thing is that my children didn't know. So
Mhm.
at this time, they're around 10 years old or older. And I had to sit them down and I said, Mommy went through this. And they knew I went through something.
Sure.
I later found a letter from me that they had wrote when I was in the hospital.
Oh.
So when I told them the story, I says, I'm going to do it with your permission, but I have no idea what's going to happen. Go get it, Mama. Go, 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 go.
Oh.
So I went to Tallahassee and I advocated for it. I was on the stand, told them about it, why we should have it. And the following day, in the headlines of the Miami Herald, um, shock treatment. Um, Shock treatment leads her to a one-woman campaign.
So much
And
for being silent and being in the
And that
background.
was it. I did not expect that. And that's how it started. I said I had no idea because if I did, I probably wouldn't have. So all of a
Amazing how the
sudden, I
Lord
got asked
arranges
to do a
things.
lot of talk shows, and one in particular was Y100, co-hosted by Tony Crabtree. And she said, you keep on coming back. She had me on like six, seven times. And she says, when you come here, the board lights up. Everybody wants to know what is it? What's the definition? What are the symptoms? What did you do? And then she said to me finally, about the sixth, seventh, or eighth time I'm there, she says, Roberta, you need a support group. And I said, a support group? Don't even go there. There's no way. So because I had my background in makeup, I used to do makeup for the Hollywood Playhouse. And for 5 years, volunteer work. And I went over to them one night and I said, this woman wants me to start as a hypoglycemia support group. She's crazy. And they said, no, do it. I said, how? So they says, we'll help you. They gave me a lawyer, an accountant, the bylaws, and that's it. I was so I was in a daze. Here I am signing papers in front of the lawyer, and I'm going, what did I get into? What am I going to do? Where do I start? Well, I want support group. I want monthly meetings in Cooper City. So I wrote to about 50 doctors in the area and I says, who I am, why I started it, my background, which was really nothing. I didn't even know the word advocate. And I says, I need doctors. Would you help me? Not one answer.
Hmm.
Got one answer. So I didn't give up. I went to the library and I looked up all the best experts. Dr. Sharaskin, who wrote the vitamin C connection, Dr. Carlton Fredericks, Dr. Lyndon Smith, a dozen of them. They all answered, we'll help.
Wow.
We'll help you, we'll help you, we'll help you. And
Wow.
that's how I did. I did almost 18 years of monthly meetings in Cooper City, Florida, and letters and emails every morning. I start the day, even till today. So then I branched out more in South Florida, and we just grew and grew until the internet came. And then somebody helped me and donated first website. We went on there and it has not stopped. It has grown and grown. I got a board of advisors, a board of directors, and I tried writing a book. And I says, there's no way. I sent it to about 57 different places and I got 57 rejections. And then I was at a party with a very dear friend of mine, Alan Glist, and he introduced me to someone. And he said, what do you do? And I told him, and I said, I want to write a book. He says, I am a publisher. I will take your book immediately. And that's it. Frederick Fell published 5 editions of my book, The Do's and Don'ts of Low Blood Sugar, an everyday guide to the do's and don'ts of hypoglycemia, an everyday guide to low blood sugar. So between my website and the book and lecturing, that's what it was. But during that time, it was difficult because my husband was very sick and that took a lot of my time. I wanted to give it up, but I couldn't. And then he passed
Oh,
um,
I'm so sorry.
about 12 years ago, about no, 11 years ago. And I decided I couldn't do it anymore. And then in the midst of like making my final decision, I get a phone call. And I says, yes, who is this? And he says, this is Wolfram Alderson. I says, and yes, what is it? He says, well, I know I found out that you have a nonprofit called the Hypoglycemia Support Foundation, and I run a nonprofit. I think it was the Institute for, oh my God, I should know it, but it's on the tip of my mouth. I can't. Well, he says, and someone that's very generous, her name was Connie Bennett, wanted to donate to both of our organizations, and I think that we should get to know about what our organizations do. Well, that conversation lasted an hour and a half. We shared how we got into it, how I started my organization, how he got into nonprofits, what he was doing, and all he said was, I think I found my soul sister.
Oh, that's
And
beautiful.
he says, I want to meet you in Seattle because I'm working with some phenomenal doctors. You have to come there. And I said, I can't fly. My husband just passed away. I want to give up the organization. He says, you must come. So a family member took me and said, you must be there. And I'm going, what am I doing? What am I doing? I was still, you know, grieving. But I met Wolfram Alderson, and then we met at a restaurant right from the airport, and I was introduced to Dr. Robert Lustig. And I had no idea who he was, and Dr. Uma Pashadi, and a host of, well, one in particular, a phenomenal um, dietitian. They all worked with this big Seattle hospital, and they were putting on something big, and they wanted me to know about it. And I'm sitting there right next to Dr. Robert Lustig, and I'm going, what is this about? Why am I here? Little did I know, 10 years later, that I would be working with the giants in in metabolic medicine. Um, And Wolfram became our CEO and has taken us to heights that you only dream about. Um, Dr. Lustig and all the incredible doctors that I've been able to work with, Dr. Berkowitz, Dr. Jeffrey Bland, I can't even list them all. And even those in my area in South Florida, Dr. Lynn Lafferty. And they were part of the 42 doctors that I just interviewed just about a month ago, and we're already planning two other seminars similar. And I've got, some offers that are trickling in. I need a break, but I couldn't say no to you. But um, what I think I've learned all these years is that you got to have a passion, you got to have a purpose, and that's the biggest and greatest gift that God has given me. And
Mm.
now that I keep on hearing from, I can't keep up with with the emails. I mean, they have never stopped for 45 years. But the thing that's different now and what I'm working on with all the doctors, I can't even mention them, is that what happened to me not only is happening today, but what I've seen over all these years. So I think what I bring to the table is that from my own experiences and from speaking with all these people, having all these letters, I could read them to you over and over and over again. I know what these people need, what they want, and what they are not getting. But the saddest and most devastating thing is that over the years, most of the people that got in touch with me that were crying for help, I have your symptoms. I think that's what it is. Or I was diagnosed and the doctor didn't know how to, even doctors say, all of a sudden, I see that I'm diagnosing people with reactive hypoglycemia. I don't know how to help them. I had to send them all of my information. But what's
Oh,
happening is that it was mostly women and when I started that got in touch with me. Women, 28, 30, 35, 40, 50. And then it started, they got older. Then I started hearing from men. Then I started hearing from men in the service. I'm in the service. I can't eat the food. They don't believe what I have. How could I tell them that I need something? They think that I want to be special. It's no, I just want to have my energy. I want to be able to serve my country. What am
oh,
I going to do? So then it was men, then it was the older men, then it was a combination of everything. But the last 15 years, particularly, it started to get younger and younger. Mothers of teenagers, teenagers themselves. I know I've been diagnosed with hypoglycemia, but my parents don't even believe the doctor because they don't understand and they don't want to help me. Now, what I'm going to tell you from the doctors that I'm working with, and that's why they're banding together. We have a crisis. We didn't even mention what hypoglycemia is. Basically, it goes back to my story, what I was eating. It's it's the amount of processed foods and high sugar content was absolutely destroying everybody
yes, it
without
is.
even knowing it. Every product that you pick up in the store has sugar in it. So we are consuming amount that the body can possibly hold or digest or assimilate or anything. It's like putting in a car, putting in the wrong gasoline. Well, you think it may work, but it's not going to. It's going to break down. Well, that's the same thing with the body. The body was not meant to handle the amount of sugar and processed food that we eat today. But what's happening is that I am now hearing from parents of 2-year-olds. 2-year-olds are now dying around the world of diabetes and fatty liver disease. These used to be only adult diseases. So the doctors that I'm working with are so passionate about joining me because they see we have to work together. We each have a role to play. I'm not taking over their role, I'm just adding to it because I could hear what they're saying. I hear their cries. I hear the mother from a foreign country. Please, I need medicine. I can't get it. My baby is 18 months old and they send me pictures of a child in the hospital. They're running out of medicine. Please get it for me. What do I do? Or a 16-year-old and the mother says, my child won't get out of their room. They're just depressed. They're suicidal. Help me. What do I do? It's just so far and wide and out of control. You are what you eat. There is a definite food mood connection. If nothing else, and you're listening to me, and I could leave you with this, if you have any of these symptoms, again, I wrote some of them down: severe fatigue, insomnia, depression, crying spells. You can't think, you can't concentrate. You're on a constant roller coaster. You're good and great one time, and then all of a sudden, you eat something and you feel like you have to go to sleep, or you crave sweets, or, well, mood swings, cold hands, cold feet. The list is absolutely unbelievable. Connie Bennett, who wrote Sugar Shock, got in touch with me. And the first thing she says is, I think I have 44 or more symptoms. Help me. So if you have any symptoms, I'm not saying don't go to your doctor, but go prepared. First, do a diet symptom diary, which at least for a week to 10 days. Get up, write what do you eat, what time do you eat, and if you have any symptoms. So you get up at 8 o'clock. Do you have a cup of coffee and nothing else? Do you have a cup of coffee and a donut? And then how do you feel afterwards? And then you get to work and you have another 2 cups of coffee to get through the day. Well, how do you feel? Are you able to handle your job? Are you able to face your boss? Or if you're a mom at home, So this diet symptom diary is your blueprint, your special blueprint. So you could take that to the doctor. If you say, doctor, these are my symptoms, write down all your symptoms. These are your symptoms. This is what I eat. This is what I see. What happens after, if I skip a meal or if I eat this is what happens. If he doesn't listen to you and just gives you a pill, run. And don't say there are no doctors out there. They're difficult to find. But I often say, especially to a woman or to a mother, if your daughter is getting married, how many places do you go to find the proper gown or the right gown?
Oh,
You,
that's good.
oh, you'll take a year to find the dress. Or if you're
That's a good
looking for a
analogy.
car, you'll take 6 months to find it, but you won't do that when you need a doctor. You need a doctor that may not know anything about it, but that's willing to work with you. If you don't have a doctor that's willing to work with you and believe in it, you're not going to get better. I know it's hard, it's difficult. Listen, I just moved to Port St. Lucie and it's a new area. The waiting list to get a doctor is a year or more.
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah, year or more. And that's sometimes you're lucky. So, and it's all over. I've been speaking to, dietitians, doctors. Um, it's tough. It really, really is. So that's my story. Come on
So
with the
let
questions.
me ask some questions. So, and I have a few. The first is when it comes to the doctors. So it's my understanding that the primary solution to this is a change in diet. True?
Yes,
Yes.
but I'm not saying just to change in diet. You could do it. Like, for instance, Dr. Carlton Fredericks, who wrote one of the best books on hypoglycemia. He suggested if you think you have hypoglycemia, you can, yes. First, education is crucial. You have to know if after seeing this and you think, oh, well, maybe I do. Well, don't take my word for it. You could Google it. You could go to our website, hypoglycemia.org. And there's, first of all, I think right on the first page, we have 60 questions and answers. I mean, we have blogs, we have doctors, we have people that
Awesome.
you can go to that we could recommend. We have our free summits where you could get 60 plus hours in a week of free information from doctors telling you now about um, blood sugar irregularities and your thyroid, blood sugar irregularities and mental illness, blood sugar and I mean, everything. So vast now. It's just not one thing. So education is crucial. Get all your information, write down all your questions. How does it apply to you? Then start looking for your doctor, ask for recommendations. You could see who 62 to choose from that, I mean, 42 to choose from that we spoke to. See if they live in your area. See what organizations. I just think I put a list of organizations that have referral listings. So you've got to take the time. This is your life to find the doctor that you can work with. So that's first important, education, preparation by getting your doctor, then application. Okay. So the first thing is evaluate, what do you eat? Go around your kitchen, go around, what do you cook? Um, are you too busy? Do you just get processed foods? What kind of snacks? What kind of desserts? Is it the ones that have all the dyes, the preservatives, the additives? All of this contributes to it. So again, it's education, preparation. If you read about it and it says, do not eat this, do not eat that, do not eat that, you cannot just take everything out of your cabinet and say, I can't eat, I can't eat. You got to prepare. You got to replace. Otherwise, you got to have that food there. I have to have the food in the refrigerator to make sure. Um, it could be cheese if it's protein. If it could be hard-boiled eggs. It could be leftover whatever. But I have to have food. I have to eat. And then you find out what foods you can eat. And everyone is an individual. What may be good for you, but someone else may not be good for you. That's where the symptom diary comes in. So, and then it's application and it's support. I just remember speaking with Dr. Julia Ross, one of our speakers, and I said, for me, the only way I got through all of this was having a tribe. And she got so excited when when I mentioned the word tribe. She says, that's exactly how they did it years ago. You can't do without it. I can't do without my doctors or my nutritionist or my family or my friends or my books or it's a constant learning experience and an unlearning experience. Unlearning what we used to eat, what we used to do, and what we have to apply today. We're living in a different world.
Well, I love that. And so a bit about my background too, to interject. Currently, I'm an athlete. I'm a marathoner and a weightlifter. Uh-huh. And so I have a running coach, a sports nutritionist, a personal trainer. It takes a team to get me across the finish line. But I want to focus on my nutritionist first. So I started seeing her in 2015. And prior to that, for several years, I had been athletic. I hadn't been up my entire life. This started happening in my adult years. And I thought that processed food, and I'm going to put the word food in air quotes, because processed food is actually chemicals. It's not food, it's chemicals. It's a bunch of chemicals slapped together. I didn't know that because when you go to the grocery store, which I'm going to put in air quotes too, I am hard pressed to find anything in a grocery store that's actually food in air quote because it's not. It's a bunch of processed chemicals and they call it food, but it is not food. It is not food. Neither is anything in fast. I mean, it is not food, but I didn't know that because of, I'm going to call it brainwashing. We've been brainwashed to think that this stuff on the shelves in the supermarket is groceries, which means food. It's not. I didn't know that. So I go to my sports nutritionist and she starts, well, first I had a personal trainer before her who started educating me on this like you. And he's like, no, you can't eat that. And I'm like, why not? It's food. No, it's not food. And I'm like, what? But they say it's food. The grocery store's full of it. Isn't that where we shop for food and get food? No, it's not, Lynn. So anyway, I had to be educated. And then by the time I got to my sports nutritionist, I don't have hypoglycemia, but the same analogy applies. She said, we're going to do, she called it a food elimination plan. And she said, every time you eat, your body, you will know within 30 minutes if your body likes it or not. And she said, if it doesn't like it, you have a choice. Keep eating it and feel miserable or don't. And so I thought, okay, I'm done feeling miserable in certain areas. And so I would stop it. And by the time the food elimination diet was finished, I frankly did not find a lot of foods my body could eat, but it could eat some. And so so she developed a plan for me. I eat 5 well-balanced meals a day, and it's all like I have hard-boiled eggs. I've got cheese, everything you're talking about. It's all very natural and as organic as I can possibly get because it's worth the little bit extra to get actual food in my body so I have nutrition. But I completely understand your topic from that standpoint. And I would not be, so before this, I would have the sugar highs and lows. I'd eat the carbs because
Right,
they go to sugar in our body.
right.
And I'd have these highs and then I'd crash. And all day long I was doing this. And I thought, what? So then you suck coffee during the crash. Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. There's a way out. We don't have to live like that. So my lifestyle now, I've been like this for years and years. I will never change my lifestyle. And I have steady energy because I don't have those, I'm very well balanced protein, carbs, and fat that my
That's
sports
it.
nutritionist develops. And it's based on me, my athletic activity, my goals and plans. It's all customized to me because, like you said, we're all different. And that is the how I can relate to your story. Again, I don't have hypoglycemia, but food does affect depression and moods, and even whenever I was eating all the processed foods in air quotes and the carbs, it does affect your moods and it does affect your energy levels and it does affect your ability to interact with other people. And I attribute that to we are not eating food. Our bodies are nutrient starved, and that's coming out in all kinds of ways. And we need to get true nutrients in our body.
I am so thrilled. I want to take you with me wherever I
Oh,
speak. It's just, and you know what? It, no matter what age, no matter what age, I know I am, it's a constant learning
yeah,
journey experience. And I find it fascinating that, that I'm still around, that I could still learn, and I just say, God, just give me the strength. And I do. I mean, I'm not saying I don't get tired, I don't get discouraged, because sometimes it's a battle, because people still today look at you like, what? What's that? They don't believe it, or they can't do it, or, oh, it's too hard, I can't do it. And I
yes, I
said, you
hear
know
that.
what? If you think this is hard, my husband, I mean, hypoglycemia is a prelude to diabetes. If you don't take care of one, most likely you will have it. Dr. Seal Harris said it, oh my God, in the 40s. The low blood sugar of today is the diabetes of tomorrow. Well, I lived with someone that was diabetic. I've seen what happens to them. And if this is what's going to happen to our children, to our teenagers, to our younger, 20, 30-year-olds, they have no idea. If they think it's hard now to change, the consequences of having diabetes is unbelievable. So, I'm not saying I'm perfect with it. I'm not saying I don't, something doesn't tempt me. But let me tell you, if I do, within 10 minutes, I could feel it. And I
Yeah,
say, oh my God,
yeah.
just a reminder not to. I mean, I just, and
I understand. My last birthday, Roberta, I decided, so here's what I decided. I thought, you know what, Lynn? Birthdays are a day of celebration. People eat cake and ice cream. That's what you do on a birthday. So you know what? Even though that's not now after a marathon, I'm eating carbs till the cows come home because I'm so deprived. So that's it. I can eat an entire angel food cake, and I have because you're just trying to get your nutrients back. But other than a marathon, I don't eat sweets. And I thought, but this is your birthday, and everybody has a piece of cake and some ice cream. So just do it to celebrate. Oh my goodness. You'd have thought I drank straight poison, Roberta. I mean, the joy of the flavor and everything as it was going down. Once it was down 5 minutes, I'm like, oh my gosh, I poisoned myself. I could feel it head to toe. I could not wait for all that sugar. I have Holy Spirit goosebumps head to toe now while I speak. Couldn't wait for all that sugar to leave, and I never again, never again. I cannot do it. It's too because my body's too
I felt
healthy.
the feeling. I felt the feeling. Um, it's, it's, I find it fascinating by listening to your body. We were never trained that way.
No, we
I mean,
weren't.
to really listen, and it's amazing how it speaks to you. I mean, it's just like if something happens, I say, I just know it. I just know it. I could feel it. It's and now what I've been learning, particularly from, working with my CEO and other doctors, um, now the brain gut connection.
Yes,
So not only does it affect my brain like it used to, with mental and emotional headaches, depression, insomnia, but now if I eat something that I shouldn't, it affects my stomach.
yes,
So now I'm seeing more and more, which I never associated it with. And, just go to my website and you'll see some of the doctors, and they're all talking about the brain-gut connection. So now I'm very, very conscious of it. If I have an upset stomach or if I have pain or something, oh my God, it did make me nervous, but look what it did. So stay away from there, find something else. And the stores now are really, catering to these people, not catering, but I mean, getting more and more where years ago you couldn't find stuff to eat. Now that there's stuff no preservatives, no additives, no dyes and stuff like that. So it can be done. And then we could get back to home cooking, you know.
Yeah, I hear you. And once I started on this plan with my sports nutritionist, what you just said, the gut problem, I remembered. So I would travel and I would be very careful to eat my plan and very careful how I ordered in a restaurant, very careful. But still, I was miserable and having those reactions. And I got back home and I met with her and I said, I don't get it. And she said, Lynn, it's the spices. She said, you can't forget the spices. She said that when you travel and you ask for this plain food, they're not used to it. And at restaurants, wherever you're at. So they're going to add spices to it, just thinking that they're helping. And you have to say no spices, no butter, no sugar. You have to just ask for it. And so then I learned it's not just food, it's the spices put in, real spices. It's not like they were, fake spices or chemicals. They were real spices. But it goes down to that depth of a level that you have to pay attention to.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I hope some of my family members see it because I think I think when we go out and they're ready and everybody's ready to order, I think everybody holds their breath when it comes to mama or grandma because they know I ask a lot of questions. Can I have just a plain piece of chicken with
Yes,
absolutely nothing, just grilled?
yes,
Can I have what kind of vegetable to have? I just need a green and white one or
yeah,
something like that. And do you have like a sweet potato or baked potato? Just very, very small, nothing on it. And, they're going, oh my God,
yeah.
but I say then I can, eat it most of the time. But there are times when I get it, like you say, yeah, there's
Yeah, well,
definitely.
exactly. And I'm to the point years ago, I actually carry food with me everywhere I go, even when I visit family. And 99% of the time I eat my own food. And they've learned now it's nothing offensive to them. It's just there's only certain things that I can eat and my body feel good and my mind feel good. And what most people fix, including my family, is a lot of processed foods and just things that I can't eat. And even at Thanksgiving, it's all it's such amazing food. And I was very selective. I was very careful. But I paid for a couple things. But just a couple things, meaning I had a vegetable that was not in my food plan, and I knew better. But it's like one of my favorite. I love Brussels sprouts, and I cannot have it. I just can't. And so if I decide to eat it, I'm deciding to have a problem. So I knew what I was doing. And I only had like a fourth a cup. I just wanted the flavor. I can't
Well,
even do
that sounds funny because for Thanksgiving, our host said, okay, what can you have? I says, just please, just make what you have. I'm sure there'll be something. No, no. So when I got there, she had a plain sweet potato, just baked
Oh,
just for me, so I would have it.
oh,
And just, vegetables just for me that I could have it because they do. And then with the salad, she left aside, so that there was nothing in it but olive oil instead of all of the other stuff. But
yeah.
I've gotten so used to it that I don't mind because I feel good because when I do go off, I feel it right away and it
Yes.
lasts, it lasts. And it's so wonderful to share it with somebody that understands and we're on the same page because it's hard for a lot of people. And I could understand. I could understand.
Yeah.
It's especially if they're working. I mean, I could work 10, 12 hours a day in front of my computer on a book or a seminar or something that I'm doing and working, but I could still prepare my food. But someone that's working, that a lot of people I know that are even in my family, they don't have time, or they're raising a family or they're running around. But you have to put yourself first because if you don't, and if you don't change, it's going to catch up with you.
Yes, that's true. Sooner than later.
So
And
you lift weights
I
also?
do. Yeah, I'm a marathoner and a weightlifter, and yeah, so that's my lifestyle. And then I podcast, and my day job, I'm an international human resource consultant, and I'm also an independent LifeWave distributor. And so I've got all kinds of things going on. I absolutely love my life now. But I'll tell you what, I would not be able to do everything I do if I did not eat according to how my body needs to be fed. I would not be able to do this. I would not have the energy. I would be, I wouldn't be happy and positive all the time. Without the proper food. I mean, this is an integral part. I wouldn't be able to do marathons. I wouldn't be able to lift weights. The food we eat, real food, impacts every area of life.
Well, I should have interviewed you. This is, we could go on and on and on. I want
Yes.
to learn so much from you. Can we do this again or something? Or, I don't know what we're doing. We're hoping to start a podcast. We're hoping to finish our two books. We're hoping to do so many things. But right now we're doing summits and we love them, absolutely love them. Since I told you we partnered with Quit Sugar Summit. So that's
Yes.
fabulous and that's great. So the main thing is that no matter how we do it, I feel, and I think you do too, so blessed to be able to do what we love, you
Yes.
know, be able to share it. I kept on saying, how am I going to do it? How am I going to write? How am I going to do this? How am I going to get a book out? How am I going to do a son? You know what? When God wants you to do it, He just brings the people in your life.
Hasn't he though? Your whole
That,
story is a story of I did this is you sounded like me. And all of a sudden all this started happening. I'm like, what's happening? I don't know, but I know I'm supposed to say yes. And then God takes you to the next level. And then he brings all these other amazing people and things in your life. It's like, what's happening? I'm not sure, but I'm going to say yes. I mean, following God is the biggest adventure of all.
you know, um, it's not only following Him, it's surrendering.
Oh,
That's what I'm
amen.
learning.
Amen.
When I get fearful, I mean, I still do. I say, what am I doing? What am I doing? I should be retiring. Maybe I should be in a rocking chair. And
Oh
then,
no.
no, no. But then I was so thrilled. Perfect timing. I heard a interview. Not Barbara Walters, Oprah Winfrey was interviewing. Oh my gosh, what's her name? She's 91 years old. Well, she was 82 at the time. I can't even think of it. She started the movement, the women's movement. Oh, she started the women's movement. I can't think of her name. And she says, you're 82 years old. This was a couple of years ago. She says, when are you going to retire? She says, retire? She says, that's word is not even in my vocabulary. She says, I'm here at least until 100. I'm planning my next 10, 15 years. I said, yay.
And
Yay.
you can
I
bet
think
she eats
we
well.
do. Sometimes I know I am my own worst enemy, and I have to get back and say, listen, God will let me be here. Let me just surrender and trust, surrender and trust. And that has sometimes been the hardest because fear gets in and say, what do I think I'm doing? Like even saying yes to you. There was a connection. I don't know how you even got a hold of me. And I'm going, I don't usually do this. Who is Lynn? What podcast does she have? Because usually they'll send me everything. I says, no, I have to trust something magical is going to happen. And it has.
And it has. I know.
And it
And
has.
this is the God we serve, connecting people. I see him do that, just like your story. He'll connect people at the right time for the right
That's
reason
it.
in order to help other people.
That's it. It's just, and I hope it doesn't stop. I hope I can help you in any way you can.
Oh,
And,
that's
but
wonderful.
I'll definitely be listening to all your other speakers. And I don't know. How long have you been doing this now?
So, the Lord activated me to start speaking in January of last year. And then in June of last year, he said, I want you to start a Rumble channel. And I said, what? And he said, you know how it is? And he goes, yes. And I said, well, I don't know how to do that. And he said, and so, I figured it out. And then he said, I want you to do one show a week. And I'm like, one show a week? It sounded like so much. So I did. And then he said, now I want you to bring a guest on. I'm like, I don't know how to do that, but I did. And now today I do probably, I don't know, 10 to 15 shows a week. I'm on shows, I do shows, I have all kinds of platforms, and God has opened every door. He told me in 2024, he said, he said, or maybe 2023, but he said, I'm going to open doors. All I want you to do is walk. Just keep walking. Just I'll open doors. You just keep walking. And that's what I've been doing, just like you.
Isn't it wonderful that we were blessed with, well, listen, everybody is, everybody is. I mean, God's just such an incredible God. Um, when you when you put your faith in him, I'm not saying it doesn't get scary sometimes and it wavers and I have to get on my knees and say, God, please just show me the way, and it could be scary because it's so huge what my dreams are and what I want to accomplish. And I'm going, where'd that come from? Another book or another this or another that, but I say he planted it, he planted
Yeah.
it. It's
Psalm
no,
37, God gives us the desires of our heart because he puts them there.
well, the thing that helps me is my altar right in front of you. It's right here. I
Oh,
can't do it. I can't do without it. Everybody has to find their way and I'm so glad we have this connection and this
me
feeling
too.
and this drive that I don't know, I keep on saying it's like something in your belly. It's a fire in your belly, and it's wonderful. It just makes you keep on going and getting up in the morning, and that's like my favorite time. I could get up at 5 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning and do my best work when it's so quiet. It's like just like I don't know. But I am feel so blessed, so honored, so privileged that we met this way. It was the best, unexpected, incredible, and I feel it's just the beginning.
You're welcome. I believe it is too. And speaking of other shows, so we're going to hop off. I have another show in a few minutes. And I want, so one more time, your website is hypoglycemia.org.
Right. They'll find out everything there. They'll find out about the summits that are coming up. Let them take that time because it's a huge, huge website. We're going to, do a new one sooner and condense, not condense it and just make it easier. But as nonprofits, the last 5 years, so many of them unfortunately had to close because of COVID. We too lost a lot of our volunteers, our donations, even our doctors were wiped out because they were taking care of patients.
Oh, yeah.
So we're all rebuilding, but in a wonderful, incredible way.
Mm.
And that's it. I'm here if you need me.
Amen. Well, God bless you for everything you do. And for my audience, I will close saying what I always do because it's true that God is absolutely good.
Couldn't be a better ending.
Amen.
Thank you so much. Take
Amen.
care.
You too.
Bye now.